Today I'll be working on the internal bracing for the guitar top and the back. And I'm coming from you inside my office because it's very cold outside. I just went out and turned on the heater in my shop. And while it's heating up, I'll work a little bit in the office and then I'll move out to the shop. Next I'm going to work on the internal bracing for the guitar. And the guitar does need internal bracing because the top is so very thin and the guitar is under really an enormous amount of stress due to the tension of the strings. It really needs internal bracing just to keep the whole thing from collapsing. So the bracing that I'll be doing is strictly from the blueprint that I've purchased, and I'll turn the camera down here so you can see the bracing on the blueprint. Here's the blueprint of the guitar top. What I've done is to put a piece of tracing paper over that, and I traced the outline of the top and then also traced the bracing pattern onto that paper. And I'll just use this tracing paper to transfer the bracing pattern onto the back side of the guitar top, and I'll do that just by putting a little indentation at each corner where each brace ends, and then I'll be able to connect those indentations with a straight edge and pencil so I can see that bracing pattern on the guitar back. That's the top. The back has a much simpler bracing pattern. In fact, I didn't even trace the entire back since it's symmetrical. I only need to see one side, and it just has 4 braces running across the back. The brace wood that I'm using is Sitka spruce, and it's a quarter sawn vertical grain wood, and I don't know if you can see that, but you can see the grain is running this way, so when I saw up the braces, have a good vertical grain going in those. From my blueprint, I measured out all the different widths, lengths, and heights of the braces, and made me up a brace schedule so I could make the most efficient use of my brace wood. So when I get out to the shop, I'll be able to lay out my cuts on the brace wood for the most efficient use of it, and I should have plenty of wood to make up all these braces. Right now I'm just making those little dimples right at the intersection of each brace, and from that, when I take this tracing paper off, I should be able to accurately locate the brace pattern on the back of the guitar. What I think I'll do is leave this tracing paper attached at one end, so in case I missed any of these, I can relocate it back in the same spot. Start by laying out those large X braces. I think the only bracing on this top that doesn't intersect with another brace are these 2 little finger braces on either side of the X brace, and they stop short of the side. These little dimples that I made make it very easy to locate where the lines go, because my pencil drops right into that dimple, and I can slide my straight edge right against it. So that's the layout of the top bracing, and that looks like it. So there's the bracing pattern for the back side of the top. I use the same technique for drawing the the bracing pattern on the back. It's kind of hard to see on this walnut, but you kind of see there's 1, 2, just 4 parallel brace patterns. There we go. I have my bracing schedule here again. Next I'll go out to the shop. I'll just take my brace wood, my schedule along out there, and I'll rip all these to width. I have my bandsaw set up to cut just slightly wider than 1/4 inch. I cut a test piece and it's where I want it to be, so I'll cut three lengths of 1/4 inch wide Sitka spruce. So there's my first piece. I got the brace stock ripped to the rough width. This is 1/4 inch, 5/16, 3/8, and this is the piece that I have left over. And these are all ripped just a little under 1/16 of an inch too wide, so I need to reduce them down to their final width. And you could plane those with a hand plane to get them down the width, or hand sand them, but I'll take them over to the thickness sander and bring them down to the final width. When I'm reducing the thickness, rather than measuring the thickness, I just use these gauge blocks, and I have a 1/8 and a 1/4 set up here for 3/8. I just set them up next to my piece of wood and just feel across there, and I can feel when I've reached the height that I want. And it's much more accurate and actually much easier way to determine if you've gotten to the right thickness. Okay, I've reduced all the bracing to the final width. Now I need to reduce them down to the final height, and the wood is good and straight, but it's just kind of rough and fuzzy on both sides. So before I reduce the height, I'm just going to make a pass or two through the thickness sander just to get a one good smooth edge. So there's a rough side, and then there's the smooth side that I just put through the thickness sander. I'm to the point where I need to reduce the height of the braces according to my brace schedule, and over at the thickness sander I sanded one edge of all the braces smooth, and that smooth edge I'll use to glue to either the back of the top or the back of the back. This other side is rough, and that's the part that I'll cut off. Once I cut these off in the bandsaw, I'll rip them in the bandsaw. The top edge will still be slightly rough. However, once these braces are glued on, they have to be shaped, and the sides are angled in. It's kind of a parabolic shape. Let me grab my pencil. They'll be cut roughly to a shape something like that. So once when I rip these to length, it won't matter if this top edge is not smooth, because this is all going to be pared down to this parabolic shape anyway. So one edge is smooth to glue to the guitar surface, this other edge will be rough. It will not matter because I have to do some additional work in reducing those down to their final profile. I'm going to start with my 1/4 inch wide pieces, and even though they're 1/4 inch wide, there's a couple different heights. The majority of the 1/4 inch wide brace stock needs to be 3/8 inches high. There are two pieces that need to be 5/16. These two pieces are 2.5 inches long, so I need roughly 5 inches of 5/16. The remainder 3/8. So what I think I'll do is, I have excess stock. I need 53 lineal inches. I have 60, so I have some extra to play with. So I'll take these 2.5 pieces, 5 inches. I'll cut a piece off 6 inches, reduce it to 5/16. The remainder of the 1/4 inch I'll reduce to 3/8. The spruce is fairly soft, so I'll just use this little X-Acto back saw and miter box to cut this. So I'll just measure out 6 inches. Cut that to length. So I'll take this over to the bandsaw, reduce this stock down to 3/8 inch high, or just maybe slightly over 3/8 inch high, and this piece will be 5/16 in height. So there's my 1/4 by 3/8. Now just continue to rip all these braces to the proper height, using my gauge blocks to set up the width of the rip. I'm cutting all these heights 1/16 of an inch over the finished height, and to do that I just use the gauge block for the width. This piece I'm ready to cut is a 1/2 inch width, and then I just add a 1/16 inch gauge block, and that is how I set the width. Here's all the brace stock cut to size, and just to keep everything straight, I wrote down all the dimensions on one end. For woodworking plans, tips, and techniques, visit randallprice.com.